stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you. Because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes, baby. You think a little too small. I got big goals, baby. Hey, where the money at? Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it and split it with my kinfolk daily. And I'm the type of that might change my number on you. Yeah, that's how you react when people took a slumber on you. Pretty brown skin, baby.
Spent the last year Rocky Mountain Way. Couldn't get much higher. Microphone check 1 2. What is this? The Erick and Brad Show back in business. Episode 76 of the show. We've been in the number 70 episodes now for 17 years. But we are here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com, Erick and Brad Show at gmail.com. My name is Brad. This is Erick. How's it going, man?
Good morning. No, it's not morning. It's evening. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good evening. I'm hanging in there, man. I'm hanging
by a thread. Just one thread holding on.
Just one thread.
And it's that like cheap Safeway brand thread. It's not like the good floss, that's pretty strong. It's coming apart, it's gonna fall.
It's like I'm on a cliff with one of them pick things that mountain climbers have, and I'm just hanging by one of those pick things, just swinging.
Ooh. I hear you hacking, Hair Bear. How's the weather over there?
It's fucking cold, man. Have I ever said on this show before that I don't like North Dakota?
I fucking hear you. It's been, I don't know how similar.
I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. I don't know how similar Denver is to fucking North Dakota, but it has been cold as a motherfucker here. It's been
like 62.
Oh, no. Much colder. And the wind does not fucking stop here. It is. I know. You just squint your eyes and just 15 degrees. Like, it's fucking horrible. Get inside. Yeah, it's miserable. It's miserable. Much worse than North Dakota.
No, it's not worse than North Dakota. Fuck you. Many years ago, a great man, asked me a question, and he said, "What's the number? Of money that you need to have saved to leave North Dakota? What's your number?"
And Did I ask that?
I got a no. He's like, I got a number. He's like, I got a number in mind for him to leave, and that was in 2013. And that man is now my landlord. But I'm thinking about that today. I'm like, what is that number? Because maybe Brad has hit the number already, and needs to get his shit together. But the problem is, he had a number back in mind back then in 2013. He's still here. He's my landlord now. Obviously, his number moved. Well, so that's what happens. Your number keeps moving.
It's inflation of the number. That's basic economics.
Yeah. So I got some deep thinking to do. This has been. I'm gonna be really cryptic. There's parts of this episode today. We got a good episode for you guys today. We got There's three really hot topics I want to talk about. But there's sometimes Brad might get a little cryptic, so I'm already. I'm just going to apologize.
Cynical with everything. It's going to be a cynical episode.
No, just cryptic. Like I'm not. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I really don't understand the word cryptic. So
mysterious.
Kind of a retard. So
like this last week has been one of the hardest weeks for me, and music listening is basically fucked for me at this point. Completely fucked. But see, I'm not going to go into detail about it. I'm just gonna. So anyway,
yeah, I've fully embraced 90s country, so I'm just kind of happy right now. Well, no.
That's great.
Okay, let's back that train up a few fucking tracks. I'm not happy, but I am happy with music right now. That's going good.
I'm not happy with music right now.
Oh, well, that sucks. That Donda album didn't do it for you?
No, nothing's doing it for me, man. Nothing's doing it.
You tried mariachi music out?
Maybe I should try that.
Maybe you should try
long as it's... I don't know, man. I don't know what I need. I don't know. I'm fucked. I don't think I can ever listen to country.
One of my buddies was explaining to me, a Mexican buddy of mine, he was explaining to me that there's... Because for white people, I think, and every white person I've ever talked to, is mariachi music, Mexican music, every song sounds exactly the same. Like, it just...
Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck is happening here? But he was explaining to me, and he was like playing all this music. I obviously didn't understand any of the fucking words that were being said. But one of this dude he was like super into, I can't remember the name, but it's like my basic white man translation of his like Mexican name was Crazy Rain Jacket, because it was like Loco something that reminded me of a rain jacket in Spanish. And so I was like, oh, Crazy Rain Jacket. And he's like, it's not fucking Crazy Rain Jacket. But I guess there's
one of the most famous country songs of all time has mariachi music on it.
So what's that? Oh, okay.
I fell into a burning ring of fire. Okay, sorry.
But I guess there's this, and it was just funny to me listening to these songs because all of it sounds like real upbeat and, you know, I don't know, mariachi music.
Yeah, it is upbeat.
And but he's like, oh no, there's this whole lane of and he didn't. I don't know. I don't know anything about what their different genres are or whatever. But he was explaining how there's this whole lane of Mexican music that's all written in the same style as all the other music, but it's all just talking about like cartel shit. So it's like really happy upbeat music, but they're like talking about chopping people's heads off and like, you know, all this gangster shit. But instead of like rap on it, they're like, I chopped some dude's head off, you know, blah, 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 fed him to the pigs. It's like, Jesus.
That's weird.
Yeah. So, you know, got that going for me.
Nice. So you're in Colorado.
I'm in Denver, Colorado, the worst state in the world. I hate this place.
Oh my God.
I don't like it. You know what it is?
You drove there.
I drove there, and you know.
Did you take all 4 tires?
I took 2 tires because I figured I'll just put them on the front, and then that saved some room. But I did look like my car was struggling. Just all the fucking way there, just not digging I was fucking packed to the brim, passenger seat full. It was just full you couldn't fit anymore. You would have to take it all out and redo some Tetris just to get like a shoebox fit inside the back of that car. And
it's Tetris.
Yeah, and on the drive, maybe this will lead into something else. On the drive, you just realize how shitty everything is. Just fuck Southern Idaho, fuck Utah, fuck Wyoming. Wyoming's probably the worst. I hated Wyoming. I drove in, it was like this shithole of a state. Fucking, I can't even remember the towns I was in. There was one town right on the corner there, close to Idaho, that Evansburg, or I don't know what it is. It was just god awful. And I stopped there and got gas and food, and you could just tell everyone's miserable there. It's just a miserable place to be. And I've got that feeling every time I've ever stopped in Wyoming, the locals seem miserable. They're not happy. It's not like Midwestern happiness. Oh, how you doing, bud? It's just, hey, you're like, can I the bathroom back there? It's just like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'd be miserable too if I lived in this shitty ass town. And then same with Southern Idaho. Didn't like that. Fucking cops everywhere. You could just see that's what they're doing. They like sit on the state lines just to rack up speeding tickets from people. They're just like, oh, who can we? But I will say, the nice thing about Southern Idaho, kind of all that shit, was the speed limits were a lot higher than I thought they were. It was 80. As soon as you get out of Oregon, then it kind of made me mad at Oregon. Like, why are you assholes keeping a 70-mile-an-hour speed limit out in the middle of nowhere? Just out in the middle of nowhere, 70 miles an hour. You fucking hit Idaho, boom, 80. I was like, hell yeah, let's do, then you can kick it up to like 87 and feel like you're not going to get a ticket.
I don't mind 70-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Me and another dude were like driving together, kind of. He was like 2 hours ahead of me, and we're like keeping in contact. And he got a $450 ticket in Southern Idaho.
Wow.
Doing 95 and an 80.
Well, that's cool. You had a buddy kind of in the area.
Kind of. We never met up, but that was kind of it. If something happened, we were with it, an hour away from each other type thing. But anyways, on the drive, the only good thing that happened to this drive, which actually was kind of a bad idea in some respects, but I, do my normal drive thing, is I don't really want to listen to podcasts on a 19-hour drive, because then every 2 hours I'm going to be having to stop and find more podcasts. So I was like, audiobook. It's such a good way to just get time to go by. And I started another audiobook, and this one took me down a rabbit hole. Initially, I'm sitting in Oregon outside my house, 9 a.m., right before I start the drive. And I'm sitting at a gas station like, okay, let's find...
Crying.
Crying. What do I want to listen to? And I'm sitting there. And so I can't, I don't know what to listen to. You don't know what to listen to. I've already done The Shining, and you got something to listen to, but you won't start it for some fucking reason. Uh-huh. So,
yeah.
Then it hits me. I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to get on Google and type in, what's Stephen King's best book? And so I just, Stephen King's best book, enter. What does it do? And so it gives me this website that lists Stephen King top 10 books. And I just pick number one. What's number one book? Never heard of this book in my life, which I think is bananas. And
what is it?
If you don't know this, I would research this shit, because it took me, not only did the book take me down a rabbit hole, but then like when I stopped in Idaho Wikipediaing the book, that took me down a whole rabbit hole. It was like, what the fuck? It's called The Stand. Have you ever heard about this?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know what it was, but it is insane. And the reason it really took me by surprise is because, like, okay, fuck it. And downloaded the book. Download it, look at the time. Because most audiobooks are 15 to 19 hours, you know what I mean, to get through the book. 47 hours. I was like,
Jesus,
what the fuck? God, a 47-hour book? How the fuck is that possible? It's 1,200 pages.
Was The Shining in like the top 5?
Shining was number 3 under It.
Oh, okay.
It went The Stand, and The Shining. And starting The Stand, I get it. And I am super intrigued with this book. It is, I don't know if you know much about it, but it's like Stephen King's take on, he was like trying to do those prolific books like Lord of the Rings or these huge series, very detailed, long quest books. And I'm 19 hours into it, and we're still in hardcore character development stage. Like you're still meeting characters, and it's the character list has to be like 100. You're just going through characters, and it switches over to another character and goes on a 2-hour rant about that character.
So you haven't hit the conflict yet.
It's building up. It's obviously he's just building this world, and it's a post-apocalyptic book. I'm so into it. I think it's cool as shit. I'm highly suggest to anybody. I don't even know where it's going, but then just reading, I went down when I stopped that night, just Wikipediaing, reading stuff about it, and it's just so interesting. And it's a very interesting book, and this Lord of the Rings style book, and I am fucking hooked. And I love Stephen King now. He's a fucking badass. The way he writes is very genius. It's much better than The Shining. His movies do not do credit to how good his writing is. I keep saying that to you.
Sure.
Yeah, so got that going.
Do you miss your family?
Yeah, I don't. I am not. I thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought I was going to be able to deal with it better than my family was, but it's turning out to be the opposite, to where I'm not having a good time. And just everything, the weather, the wind, this job, my job in general. I'm really not a very happy camper right now. And I don't want to be in Denver. But luckily the deal is they'll fly me home every month. So that's going to be another thing, is I'm not going to be able to do an episode next week because I'm flying home.
Perfect. I'll take the fucking break again.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I was in Denver last Sunday. And I was outside because North Dakota is so shitty and dumb that to get on a plane, you have to walk outside the airport and stand there and wait. And I was feeling the wind and the cold, and it was fucking cold. I'm not going to lie.
In Denver?
Woo! Yeah.
Dude, so last Sunday.
But I had just come from Southern California, so that might have had something to do with it, but it was cold.
I will say Denver, and from talking to the locals of what Denver is, how the weather works here, it is unlike anything I've ever experienced. That day, Sunday, so I had gotten in Saturday night. I woke up Sunday.
Wow. We were both in Denver on Sunday.
Both in Denver on Sunday. I go out and about because then, I get everything situated. And then Sunday's like, go get food, stock up on shit for this whole deal. I'm out at 10 a.m., running around town, going to fucking pawn shops and supermarkets and thrift shops and shit. Just I had a list of random shit I needed. And some of it I thought I might be able to find in a pawn shop. Some of it I thought I'd find in a thrift shop. I needed a night table because I don't want my clock sitting on the ground. So I just bought some stupid little table. Fucking just weird, random shit. But I'm driving around, I'm on the side. I'm not like in Denver. I'm out in farm country. Yeah. But I'm right there. I'm in a place called Brighton, which is like last stop before it's just cow fields and they have I guess did learn something here. All their power comes from fucking natural gas here. Which I didn't even know they did natural gas power. I thought it was just coal, nuclear, hydro, wind. I thought that was the whole thing. Denver is supplied all by natural gas. So that's crazy. But anyways, I'm out doing shit. And dude, I have the windows down in a t-shirt Sunday morning. It is 65 degrees in Denver. I'm like, it is amazing. I get home at about 2:30. So warm as shit. Great. Perfect weather. Way warmer in Portland. I was like, this is awesome. Go inside, take a shower, I don't know, dick around for 2 hours, go outside to smoke a cigarette. It's 35 degrees outside. It took a 30-degree dump in 2 hours. And that's what they say here, is it'll go to 60 to freezing in an hour. And it's weird. That's the weirdest shit I've ever... That's why they said snow's really not that big of a deal here, because if you just wait a few days, it's right back up to 60 degrees. But this whole week has been... nice. It's been ever since that cold front hit Sunday night, Monday and Tuesday. I mean, it's been 80% of the time it's below freezing. Monday it was like 15 degrees all day. It was fucking cold as shit. We're outside and then the wind's picking up. Dude, 15 with wind is fucking god awful. It's like, this is fucking miserable.
I know. And let me tell you something, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
And I don't get a truck to go sit in. I have to just be out there. Freezing my balls off all day long, all day. You get a 45-minute break at lunch to go warm your shit up. But that's worse because you kind of get used to the cold and then you go warm up and you're like, oh, sweet. Then you go back out like, fuck, god damn it. It's so fucking cold out here. I should have just stayed outside the whole goddamn time.
I'm sure you don't have the right gear.
No, well, that's what's nice is
that helps.
We're actually having an argument, right? Not an argument, but a lot of people in my company, we're all from Oregon and Washington there, is we don't know what's worse. Is when you work outside, 40 degrees in rain is fucking god awful. Your hands are soaked. It's just miserable. Here it's dry. So I have one of those Milwaukee battery pack jackets. And here it's fucking awesome. I just throw a long johns, sweatshirt, that jacket, zip up, turn the heat on. It's actually it's pretty legit. It's just the face is a problem. The wind's just hitting your face and just like, And then yesterday we got real wind. Wind I've never experienced. I mean, the whole job site, blankets are just, and you're just running across shit, grab the blanket and fucking you're dragging it.
It's so annoying. Yeah. You're like, just fucking turn it off.
Yeah.
Good God.
But today was great. Today went back. It's not warm, but it's in the mid 40s, no wind. Sun's out. So it was a good day today. Huh.
Well, I'm excited for you to fly and to hear the trauma that comes from that.
I hate
and don't tell lies. Don't tell lies saying that you have to have a COVID test to fly.
I didn't say lie. I just thought that was how it worked. Okay? I'm sorry.
You don't have to have anything.
Okay. Done and done. And there's a little bit, I'm just a worrywart with everything. My anxiety, everything that ever happens, it's just high anxiety. Maybe not as high as you, but it's there. I can just act cooler than you do. You just let your anxiety hang out on your sleeve. I'm just internally freaking the fuck out. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And part of that is airports. I fucking hate airports, especially when I don't know the airport. It gives me anxiety. Portland, I understand now. Spokane, I totally understand. Fuck, you go into Spokane, you're like, this is like a fucking
easy.
This is a choo-choo train airport. This is ridiculous. This is tiny. And Portland, I got a grasp on, so I know how it works. I know how parking works. I know how drop-off works. And I've been hearing horror stories about Denver. Everyone's like, oh,
Yeah.
Denver is not a good airport. Like it is.
Denver's a shit show. And when I flying, I was thinking about the problem with Denver is, and I've learned my lesson to not schedule from here to Denver anymore, to go from here to Minneapolis, is because if you think about the country, think about what airports are the main hubs of people transferring. Denver is like literally the biggest, and Chicago. Denver and Chicago. Chicago's the busiest airport in the world. Fact check me if you want. I done did the fact check. Chicago's the busiest airport in the world. Denver, I'm sure, is right up there. Both those hubs are just where everybody is transferring from, and they're just a fucking mess.
Well, it seems like it because there is more air traffic here than I've ever seen anywhere. You look up in the sky at any time, and there's 6 or 7 jets just flying.
It's like
above your head.
gridlock traffic up there. They're like bumper to bumper in the air.
That's not even a joke. I was just outside smoking a cigarette before the show, and I was like, those two planes are very close to each other. Like
that's comforting.
Surprisingly close to each other.
That's great. Yeah, that's really
So
sweet.
we'll see how air travel goes. That's a whole other thing, and this is another thing I don't understand, is one good thing about Portland and living in a city is the Ubers and Lyfts. They're just everywhere. So it's so easy.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, just Uber. There's an Uber literally 2-3 blocks from your house. Take you anywhere. To get from Beaverton to the airport, which is polar opposite sides of Portland, is like a $30 fucking fare. It's super easy.
Yeah.
So now when I'm in Portland, if I ever have to get to and from the airport, you just Uber. It's so much easier. You just get off the plane, walk out, get in an Uber, you're out. Fucking, which this is, I don't know how this, I checked it like 2 days ago. I brought up the Uber app, and it was 6 a.m. when I checked it. From my house to the airport, they wanted $55. It's 20 miles away. It's like, what? And that's what my boss was saying, too. He said he checked it one day, and it was $105 for a 20-minute Uber ride. So I don't know what the problem is here in Denver with Ubers. Just people aren't Ubering, I guess. I don't get it.
That's rough.
Yeah,
$100, you might be better off parking. It all comes down to if you're going to pay more for parking. Or not.
I guess long-term parking here is $17 a day.
That's not terrible.
If you're gone 3 days, you might as well just Uber, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's kind of a wash.
Do you have your own house?
So I'm living. Yeah, they just rented a bunch of houses for all the guys, and I'm with the boss actually. That's super for the job. I'm in his house.
Is he listening to you talking right now?
No, he's in Portland right now. He flew out Friday. And then there's another dude who I've worked together. I've worked with this boss a little bit here and there. And then the guy who is also here, me and him have worked together a shitload. And so we all like know each other, and they've lived together a lot on different jobs. So they were like, we're super clean and blah, blah, and this dude stood up for me, and he's like, oh, Erick's super clean too, so it should work out really well. So no, I'm in an empty house. I can say whatever I want, you know. Fuck you, man. You know, nothing bad's gonna happen.
So you're loving it there?
No, not at all. I hate it. I hate every minute of it. The job sucks. This is a bunch of bullshit. I hate everything.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So we got that going for us.
Yeah. Sorry to just complain about Denver, but you know.
Dude, it's okay.
I wish it was the summertime. If it was the summertime, I'd feel totally different. Because one of my top of the list bucket list things is to go to Red Rocks. I want to go to Red Rocks so bad. Just the pictures of it, and everyone I've ever talked to is like, that's one of the coolest venues on the planet. And how many fucking things have been filmed there? So many. You know, Nine Inch Nails, their big videos from Red Rocks. A bunch of people, you know, their big thing is Red Rocks. It looks beautiful.
Fuck.
And
I'd love to. You don't want to go there when it's 15 degrees out, though.
How many days are left of regular season football? It's like over, right? Or is it in playoffs right now?
No, it's over at the end of December.
So there's 3 games left? 2 games left?
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Some guys I work with, they just went to the Lions Denver game. And I was like...
That's tomorrow.
Oh, well, then they're going tomorrow. Oh, yeah, that's right, because they were asking for a ride on Sunday. They're like, hey, who can give... Yeah. They're like, we're going to be hammered, so who can give us a ride from the stadium? And I've never been, and I do want to go to a football game. I think that would be fun. And I think Denver would be fun. I don't know. I mean, playing video games, I don't know, Mile High Stadium always seemed like kind of a cool thing to go check out.
Yeah. I'd like to go. I'm flip-floppy on the Broncos, but
Yeah,
I'd like to go.
I could give a shit less. I just want to go to a football game.
Yeah. I think you'd have fun.
Yeah.
It's just a drunk fest. It's just a bunch of fucking retards.
How much you're privy to this? How much is a ticket? Like if I were to buy a ticket for a week out, how much would it be?
It depends on the game. You're looking at a couple hundred easy.
For shitty seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you wanted decent seats, you're looking at $500 or something like that.
Depends on for the Broncos, probably not that high. I mean, you're not going to be like on the sideline.
And the Detroit Lions aren't shit, right?
Aren't shit, nothing. No, they're the worst team in the NFL.
Okay.
So there won't be any Lions fans there. I don't know. You're looking at a few $100s.
Boom.
I can't be Google. I can't be your Google. You're gonna have to fucking research it.
You're my football guy, so I figure you and you've been to football games, so you know.
Yeah. Well, you're looking at a few $100s.
If you asked me about a guitar, I wouldn't be like, fucking Google it, bitch. Like.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So, I went to California last weekend.
Oh, how was it?
It was good.
Yeah?
It was great. It was awesome.
Brad, I'm going to need 6 feet, okay? Just scoot your chair back a little bit.
No. Look, this year for me has been maybe I won't go so hard against Florida, and now maybe I won't go so hard against California. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty cool. Great weather down there.
You were in Southern
people.
California?
Yeah, I'm just ballparking here, an hour east of LA, maybe 2 hours, in a town called Riverside. More conservative part. It just seemed very conservative. Jesus Christ, the echo in my fucking headphones.
It's funny. This week, someone was just explaining that because we just got done with my company just got done with a job down in Southern California, and the dude was explaining. He's like, dude, Southern California is not what you think it is. He's like, it is actually extremely Republican in a lot of those places. He's like, you'll go.
Well, and they said since I was on the east side of the state, they told me the closer you get to the water, the more crazy it gets. The more you get away from the water.
And that's kind of all of the West Coast is that way. Seattle, you think of Seattle, you think of Oregon, Portland, but as soon as you hit the Dalles or something like that, it's just a bunch of Republicans.
Yeah, it is. It's weird. And never had to take a vaccine card out and went into grocery stores. Half the people were wearing masks, half weren't.
What?
Nobody said
in
anything
California?
to me. Yeah.
Dude, in Beaver, maybe it's just the Portland metro area, but I've gotten yelled at. Just like, hey, put your mask on. It's like, fucking douchebags.
I was wearing one, but because I didn't want to get yelled at, but half the people in there weren't. And they said it's sort of a thing of an honor system where if you're vaccinated, you don't have to, or something like that. And it's like, so people are just kind of doing what they want. But if you're in actually LA city limits, it's a whole different story. You're going to be asked for the card and shit like that. But where I was, it was super casual and it wasn't that bad. California, like, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty great. The problem is just the government. As far as like the day-to-day life for me, it seemed like there's nothing wrong with it, you know?
Well, I think the big problem, well, there's a few problems. The government, and then I think another big problem is just, housing cost. I'm assuming even where you were at, housing cost has to be out of control. So I was listening to a segment of another podcast, and they brought up that. They're like, we're in this weird time to where if you think about it, you think back, rewind 50 years ago, and you had New York, LA, England, or, all these major cities. People would move to these cities to go find culture and go be a part of that deal. And they're like, now you can't do that. Like, you can't just move to LA. Like,
right.
You can't, you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't just pack up. Somebody. Yeah, you can't just pack up, move to LA and be like, oh, I'm going to make it. And then go look for a house and be like, $3,000 for a fucking apartment? This is insane.
Yeah. We were driving down like a regular residential street with like regular houses, like decent houses, but not like huge house, like a regular kind of normal thing. And I'm just like, so are all these houses like $1 million? and my relatives were like more like 600,000-700,000. It's like, oh, okay.
So twice as expensive as the rest of the country, essentially.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
a little
pricey.
less.
But it was a great trip. Flights went pretty fine. On the way there, flights went perfectly, thank God. On the way back, leaving California to Denver, the person sitting next to me, I just assumed seemed like a homeless person who I thought was like ODing next to me. And so I kind of got an experience. I felt like I was on like a fucking downtown city bus. Like, what is this guy's fucking problem? And then I don't think he was ODing, though. I think he was sleepy. Anyway, it was annoying. And then from the flight from Denver to here, had a female pilot. Thought of you.
Oh.
She was attractive. But we were all standing outside in the fucking freezing cold. And you could see her through the window, and people behind me are like, it's a woman pilot, it's a girl, it's a female pilot.
And you're like, today's
and
the
I'm
day. What's the date today? Today is the day that'll go on Brad's tombstone.
I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. And I'm like, let's see how she does. She did good. I give her like a 90% grade because she had to deal. It was windy and snowy on coming here, so it was just a little loose on the landing for me. But you're dealing with wind and snow. I thought she did perfectly fine.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, but I don't know. It was great weather down there. I mean, I'm jealous because it seems like almost year round. It stays between like 65 and 90, and it's just like they never have to worry about anything. When I was there, it was in the 70s the whole time I was there.
Keep talking dirty to me. Keep going.
It was just so I was jealous of that, and I'm like fucking taking clothes off. And, like, I don't need sheets on this bed because I'm like, it's fucking hot as shit in here. And they're all like, it's freezing cold. But, you know.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was cool.
A little side note to throw in there that I think is relative to both things we just talked about is I was actually surprised with people. I heard that it's different when you're downtown Denver, but people here, no mask. I haven't worn a mask since I've gotten here. Fucking nothing. Go to a supermarket, you see people, but it's only about 10% of people are wearing a mask. I thought that was, I was pretty happy. I was like, okay, Denver, you get one notch up. You get one notch up. And then the wind started blowing, and I was like, take that notch right fucking back.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seemed like everyone down there talking to the consensus was just, you know, we'll just get a booster shot every 6 months forever now. Because, like you've said on this show, and everybody else has said, that it's just not going away.
It's here to stay. It ain't going away.
So,
what do you say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Brad went down by the bay.
It was interesting getting people's point of views on stuff. I'm like, you know, is people around here more Chargers fans or Rams fans? Yeah, you know, what do you guys think of LeBron? You know, what do you guys think of your governor and stuff? Just sort of picking people's brains, just trying to get a point of view.
So you were picking that. Did you bring up the Raiders? Are they mad at the Raiders now, or?
No, they're not mad. They didn't seem mad.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was like, are you guys more Rams fans or Chargers fans? Because both those teams are in Los Angeles, and they're like, a lot of people around here are still Raiders fans. Like, what? Because Raiders used to be in L.A.
Well, wouldn't you be mad if, like, your neighbor, you know, was running a fucking, I don't know, Bears flag forever, and then they moved away, and or I don't know what the closest football team to North Dakota is. The Vikings? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it the Vikings?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, Vikings flags flying all over, and then the Vikings move over to New Mexico or something, and they're just like, well, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan now. Fuck you. You know, you'd be like,
I don't know.
Fucking bandwagon bitch.
If my team moved, I'd be furious. And I don't know why more fans aren't. I don't know why more fans don't just literally burn the city to the ground and fucking crucify the owners.
Have you ever been to Philadelphia?
To the airport. My mom was born there, apparently.
Oh, is that, you know, like grabbing onto your roots type thing is why you're an Eagles fan?
No. I picked the Eagles before I knew that information. But no, I haven't been there. Someday I will go there, believe me. That's the journey.
I want to go hang out in the Northeast pretty bad. I want to go check all that shit out, Boston, and just jump to all those cities. Yeah. It'd be cool.
That'd be sweet. But I mean, it was a long weekend for Brad.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And got into because I stayed in like a guest room in the house, and they had books in there. To Kill a Mockingbird was in there, nice. And I was like, maybe I'll do some light reading while I'm here. Nah, that didn't happen.
You didn't meet Atticus Finch?
No, I had other stuff going on.
Boom. Well, that's fantastic. Dude, I learned the craziest thing like right before this episode. Did you know penguins die after they have sex?
You sure?
Well, the one I did. God damn it, I fucked it up. The one I fucked did.
Nice.
I butchered it. God damn it.
You got me. I was sitting in the airport reading stuff on my phone, and I read people were discussing on the internet how, and even if you don't remember doing this, I'm going to guarantee you did it, but when you turned 18, you signed up for selective service for the draft. You did, because everybody did.
At the DMV or something? Where?
Something like that. I remember filling out the card, something like that. They send it to you. And I was just reading a thing about how women don't have to do it, but men have to. Men have always had to.
I don't think I ever did that.
Well, then you were automatically signed up because everybody signed up. But I was just like, well, women should have to do it fucking too for a military draft in case of a military draft. But that's not a big topic, but I was just like, why wouldn't it be just fair straight across the board?
Oh, this is just a random thought, but it was, I was sure before the show, I was trying to think of things. I'm like, what has been happening that's relevant or to talk about? But this is way out of left field. I don't think we've ever talked about it, but it's something in recent history that I'm kind of mesmerized by. I like listening to it and what it is. I listened to a podcast, I don't know, 6 months ago, and the episode was all about Blackwater. Do you know what Blackwater is?
Yeah, you've brought that up.
Oh, did I? About the mercenaries or whatever that, and then in Iraq and Iran, after a year or so, it was Blackwater had more, or private mercenaries had more boots on the ground than our actual military did. And
that's crazy.
And they say like part of that reason, not necessarily the whole reason, but part of the reason there is it's a weird manipulation politicians can use to say, we only have 3,000 Marines in the area, when in all actuality they have 10,000. They're just, they're manipulating the numbers. And I'm sure there's a shitload of other reasons why they use private sector companies to go do that. Yeah. But I met a guy who worked for fucking Blackwater. He claimed he did, but it seemed very believable because the way he just went off and started talking about it, and I was jaw to the floor like, dude, I can't believe I missed someone that's done this. And he was just talking about going to Russia and going to Africa, and hanging out in Iraq, blah, 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 just all these things he did. And I was like, that is the most interesting shit I've ever heard. And he's just...
That's crazy.
And it was, what was more interesting is, like, my stepfather was in Vietnam. He won't fucking talk about it. I've heard him talk about it like 4 times. He just doesn't want to talk about it. Supposedly, he went there, like, his group was like 12 guys. They trained up in Alaska, and then they went there, and he said, like, day 1, 10 of the people in his unit died. So, and he's like, they were all like brothers. So he's like, me and the other guy felt like we should have died. Like right there. They're like, we should be dead. And, so he didn't, he won't watch war movies. He's not into that whole fucking thing. He doesn't like shooter movies. He thinks it's, either he thinks it's dumb as fuck. He's just like, this is bullshit, or he gets really sad and he just doesn't want to watch that shit. This guy,
he's not playing Call of Duty.
This guy, total fucking opposite. He was just fucking, there's a 12-year-old kid came in, fucking blew up a bunch of them. He's like, we're all pissed off. Talked to, a CIA friend of mine and fucking found out a few weeks later. He's like, yeah, all dead. We killed them all. Fuck all those guys. Blah, blah. I was just like, Jesus Christ. And he's just like, oh yeah, killed that. He's like, fuck, just brutal shit. And he's just yammering on about it. Yeah, fucking killed that guy. Fuck, bop, dop, 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 dop. I was like, whoa, bro, whoa. He said he was, it was so interesting. I don't know, like that realm, there's people out there, obviously, that have done it, because there's hundreds of thousands of them. And it's just so crazy to listen.
I think the altitude's getting to you.
Yeah, I'm just making shit, just like Jack in the Overland Hotel, just like talking to people.
Yeah, so some guy at 3 a.m. when you guys were shit-faced.
Yeah.
I was telling you.
I'm just talking to a bunny. Oh, that's fucking crazy. Oh, 2 things I learned about The Shining. Let's rewind and talk about The Shining for a second. One.
Thank God.
I was like, oh, it'd be cool to go to that place. And then I started thinking, I'm like, that's actually not a real place in Colorado. I was like, that hotel's not in Colorado. And I was like, oh, I think that hotel's actually in Washington. And then this dude I'm saying that to, he's like, dude, that's in Portland, you fucking idiot. And I'm like, what?
Really?
And he's like, Timberline Lodge, Mount Hood. That's where they filmed that. And I'm like, what? Fuck. I'm like, no, that's not it. I've been there. I've gone skiing there. I've been to the building before multiple times. I've been inside the building. But it's obviously, so what it is they film. I researched, I Googled it. Yeah, Google away.
I'm going to Google it right now.
The outside shots of the Overlook Hotel are Timberline Lodge on Mount Hood. The inside shots aren't. And they filmed everything, I guess, in Europe is where the inside shots were filmed. And but all the outside shots when they're driving up the little thing, that's not in Colorado. Google away. But
I did. It says it's in Estes Park, Colorado.
No. Okay, look at the picture of Estes Park. That's not the hotel. It's based off of that place. Look up the actual footage where it was shot was Timberline Lodge, Mount Hood. I just looked it up, dude. I 1,000,000%. I'll bet you any amount of money you want.
Okay.
Have you found that yet?
I believe you. Oh, yeah. As it served as the exterior, Timberline Lodge.
So if you want to go to what you see in the movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go to Mount Hood in Oregon, Portland, right outside Portland. So I've been there, and I'm an idiot for not realizing that, that's the Overlook. But from my memory, it just doesn't look that way. I don't know. It's been a few years since I've been to Timberline. The last time I went to Hood, I went to Meadows, so I didn't go to the Timberline Lodge. It's probably been 4 years since I've been there, and I hadn't seen The Shining yet, so I guess it wouldn't even have clicked.
Well, I've heard a guy on a podcast say that, like, for his birthday, his wife got him, booked him, like, a gift card, basically, to the Shining Hotel where he could stay the night.
Well, the outside isn't going to look like that, and he's talking about that place that you just talked about, Estes Park or whatever, and the outside doesn't look anything like it.
But does the inside?
I don't know. I can't answer that one.
Okay.
But the Timberline Lodge isn't a hotel; it's a lodge. So it looks nothing like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's somewhere exists where people can book like a night in the Shining Hotel.
But the actual place is a fictional place. You know what I mean? Like the Overlook Hotel isn't a real place.
Still scary to me.
Yeah, whatever. What was I going to... Oh, the second thing I learned about that is... So this guy that I'm living with now, that I've worked with a lot, he's never seen any movie ever. Like, I'm not even making that up. He doesn't own a TV. He does not watch TV. He has no interest in it. I've asked him so many movies. The other day, I bring up The Shining. I'm like... And I don't know why, but I was like, have you seen The Shining? And he's like, he didn't even know what it was. And I'm like... And he's old. He's an old guy. He's around 60. And I'm like,
I don't even know if I believe that. I think.
And I was like, none of that. I was like, okay, like you've never seen any reference to the "Here's Johnny" and like breaks the fucking door down, sticks his head through, and he's like, no. And I'm like, the 2 little girls at the end of the hallway, like, come play with us. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then he's like, and I said the little girls first, and I said the "Here's Johnny" thing, and he's like Johnny Carson. And I'm like, no, not like Johnny Carson. And then it like stopped in my head, and I'm like, is that? He's like, yeah. Whenever Johnny Carson went out on stage, he goes, "Here's Johnny," and I'm like, is that? And then I looked all that shit up, and that scene was improvised by Jack Nicholson because his name isn't Johnny. He just breaks the door and then goes, "Here's Johnny." That wasn't in the script, and he improvised that, and it became one of the most famous things in all movies. And it's in reference to Johnny Carson when he'd come out on stage. And I was like,
weird.
What was weird to me is that someone that doesn't even know what he's talking about just made a connection in my head about that movie that I can't believe I never made or heard. And did I just teach you that? Because that's crazy to me. Which someone that loves The Shining so much, why didn't they talk about that in like room 214 or 217 or whatever?
You didn't even watch it.
Did I not? I thought I watched part of it. So. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think he's fucking with you. He's never seen Wizard of Oz, Jurassic Park.
No, I know he hasn't seen Jurassic
Matrix.
Park. Dude, I'm telling you. I've for years I've been asking him references to things. And
That's
he
sad.
does not know any of it. But I know he hasn't seen Jurassic Park because he was reading a John Grisham book the other night when I came out, and I was like, I fucking love John Grisham. And he's like, yeah, I've read every John Grisham book. And so I was like, oh yeah, I did The Firm, and I was like, when I was in the hospital, I read the Pelican Brief, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, if you like Grisham, I was like, you need to check out Michael Crichton. And he's like, yeah, I never heard of that guy. And I was like, they're always like connected, you know. If you like look up Michael Crichton, you'll like-minded, you know, authors. It's going to say John Grisham, James Patterson, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, never heard of it. I'm like, you've never heard of Michael Crichton? I was like, Jurassic Park, fucking Andromeda Strand, Prey, Airframe, just naming books. And I was like, Jurassic Park. And I was like, it just went off. And he's like, yeah, never heard of Jurassic Park. I was like, oh my God, you fucking kidding me? Yeah, he's an interesting dude. I believe him. He's not full of shit. He's never watched TV. He does not watch TV.
Right.
He just has never cared about movies.
That's sad. Granted, you know, there's a lot of trash out there, but at the same time, there's a lot of really cool movies.
Well, that was my argument to him, was like, dude, I mean, at least go watch, like, go look up a list of the top 50 movies of all time and then go watch all those, because it's worth it, you know?
Yeah.
You're missing some great entertainment, some really cool things out there. Like The Shining, for instance. I think everyone should watch The Shining. It's a great movie. Not as good as the book, but a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Yeah, all those movies, you know.
Yeah, The Matrix.
Yeah, whatever.
Fight Club.
Whatever. Well, yeah. So we talked a little bit before this. Let's talk about the Beatles documentary, right? Are you ready for this?
Maybe.
Did you have a precursor to that?
No, but I think it's going to be a hot topic. I don't think anyone's going to care about it other than you. I'm just there's a lot of thoughts about it in my head.
Okay. Throw them at me.
Which it's on Disney Plus. It's a 3-part Beatles documentary directed by Peter Jackson, who directed Lord of the Rings and King Kong. He's a New Zealander. So, hey, British people, you let fucking a New Zealander direct your documentary? Like, anyway. I've been hearing about it for a long time, hearing people talk about it online. Down in California, it was brought up to me 3 times by people talking about it, and hearing a lot of complaints about it. It's so boring. It's just the most boring thing ever.
This is the most interesting documentary I've ever seen in my life.
People were saying that it was so boring that they fell asleep and this and that, and it's like, interesting. I'm like, I'm still going to watch it, you know, because I'm curious. And it's also 6 hours long. So on top of that, there's a documentary called The Beatles Anthology, which is from the 90s, which is like 8 hours long. And I watched that. So now, and then this one is 6 hours long. Apparently they had 60 hours of video, and it was edited down by Peter Jackson basically to a 6-hour documentary, and then approved by Paul, Ringo, and I guess Yoko. And I've seen a lot of stuff about
George
this. About this.
Dead too?
Yes, he's dead.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He had brain cancer. So I heard a lot of stuff about it, but I watched it this week, all 3 parts, and apparently you've only seen half of it.
Mm-hmm. I stopped right when they got, essentially, a little bit after they got into that other studio.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I started it, and I really didn't know what I was getting into, because when you think of a documentary, and you think of like a documentary about a band, it's like, okay, here's what we do for a documentary. We tell the story. of the band.
Yeah,
We start when they're little
every
kids.
music documentary is plug and play, same fucking thing over and over again.
We start when they're little kids, how they got into music, how they met. We have them telling stories, about this concert, about this album, about this song, and you work your way through the life of the band. And that's not what this was. This was pretty much, for the most part, like putting a camera in a studio and watching them practice. It was like a band practice kind of. But it's leading towards the making of an album and then a rooftop concert at the end of this documentary. So it's all kind of building up to that. But it's, for the most part, it's kind of just a camera in a room watching them play music and sort of make songs, which is really weird. It's like really crazy. And when I started it and I was like, this is sweet. And then a few minutes in, I was like, oh my God, this is not good. This is like a flop. Like Peter Jackson fucked this up. And then I had that thought and that feeling. And then sort of after that, I was like, oh, this is actually fucking genius and like gold. And it will go down as one of the greatest music documentaries of all time. I think, in my opinion.
I have an opinion on this, because I have an opinion with kind of music in general, and I think this ties into it. I really think some people don't. Well, and it's not even some people. I think there's a 50% of the population, maybe a little less, maybe 30, maybe 20, maybe 10, that just don't care about music really. Like they don't. It's not. It doesn't hold a special place, because to me, growing up, what was odd when I started playing music and being around a lot of musicians, it was a real eye opener, was how other people respond to music, and I realized no one else responds to music the way I did. When I was a little kid and I saw someone play guitar, I was mesmerized. I just like walk into them and just watch them. I just was so enamored by music and enamored by someone that played. I remember every guitar player I ever met, like through family or whatever, I'd just sit down and just grill them and just be like, that is so cool. Because I just, as a little kid, I wanted to be a rock star. I was like, this is just so cool. Everything's so rad. And then I just feel like some people I feel like just don't even like music. I think there's like a percentile of people that just don't like me. Like it does nothing for them, I don't even trust you as a human being. If that's true, I think you're a cold, heartless fucking, and you're something really weird. You're an alien. But then I think there's a big percentage of people that just don't really care. As long as it's catchy and they can sing to it, that's all they want. That's all they want. They don't care about the band. They don't care about what it takes to create music, anything. And so then I think that then there's a percentage of hyper people that are very aware of music and love it. And most of them are going to be musicians because they're just so in love with music. They obviously, it's just that's what they love. And to me, that documentary was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And I think any musician you would ever talk to would say the same thing, especially if they like the Beatles. And I love the Beatles. Yeah. And that was what was so crazy to me is there's the Beatles, especially, they're on this pedestal to where, like, for me, writing a song, I'll never be able to write a Beatles song because it's just what they did. Their music is just next level. You can't even aspire to be that level of great. They put everybody to shame when it comes to writing a song. It's just perfect.
Well, do you think timing had a lot to do with it? As in, like,
no. They were like
the history.
Paul McCartney was a fucking genius, and I think he is in my opinion, he's 50% of that band. He just is a fucking genius when it comes to writing a song. He's a guy.
Yeah. I know.
He's a genius. A fucking. There's just certain people.
There's two geniuses in the band.
All of them are geniuses. Paul McCartney is probably the best whatever. It's a big argument. Whatever you want to say. This is a music debate that there is no right or wrong answer here. In my opinion, all of them, Ringo Starr included, are geniuses. They're next. Wow. They're next level. Ringo always gets a bad name, and I think if you're a drummer and you really pay attention to what Ringo Starr does, especially on certain songs, not so much, but like Come Together, no drummer would ever think of doing that, and he did it. It's just not a normal thing because you just get locked into, drummers get locked into beats, and they just get so focused on beats, and he focuses on, he's a drummer, and so many drummers can do this. They can look at a song and be like, this doesn't need a beat. This needs me to accent what the guitar is doing, and this needs me to accent what this person's doing. He's a really master of his craft, even though a lot of times he's playing really simple shit, but that even goes to prove how masterful he is. He doesn't need to show off. He needs to do what the song needs, and all of them know how to do that. George Harrison, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, but Paul McCartney is next level when it comes.
Hang on. Yeah, and I can't speak on like the term of what a masterful drummer would say. I'd be really curious to hear a master drummer talk about Ringo. But for me, as someone who took drum lessons for 2 years and just learning them, and I think my drum teacher told me this, that it's really hard actually to play slow. And it's like almost as hard to play fast. And I'm kind of just shooting in the dark here, but like he plays slow a lot. And I remember even trying on songs where my drum teacher was having me play really slowly. It was actually really difficult for me to do.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And he does it a lot. He plays really slow. There was the Long and Winding Road.
Those great bands, the best bands. Imagine if you are Paul McCartney and John Lennon, or Led Zeppelin, or you don't fuck around. Those drummers, even though sometimes they get no credit, no nothing. If you're in the top tier bands, even if you're playing simple beats, you're really fucking good. Really, 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 really fucking good. And just because he's not doing blast beats and crazy fills doesn't mean shit. Honestly, Paul, this is going to be a controversial statement, but he's better than Neil Peart. Hands down, he's better than Neil Peart. Neil Peart.
I think the altitude is getting to you.
No, Neil Peart's.
No, I think the altitude is getting to you.
Ringo. Go listen. There's a few Ringo songs that if you just understand what's happening, it's mind blowing. It's how did he think of doing that? Like that's just insane how he chose to do that, and it fits the song. Come Together is one of the most perfect examples of just. Whoa, that's trippy. And it just blends in. You don't even notice what he's doing. But it's like, it's perfect. Aside from that.
Well, and people online were saying how they were talking about all the genius of each person. They were saying Ringo is genius for just not being like...
They don't know
what being like... No, for not being like when Paul and John are doing a song, for not being like, no, let's not do that, or trying to take over, for just being like, what do you guys want to do, and not trying to be like an alpha male, which you could do in a band.
A lot of that documentary, I didn't finish it, but you could see that. Okay,
it gets better.
I just kept on going off on tangents there. I kept on going off on tangents there, but my main point that I was going for was, if you're a musician and you watch that, it does some different things to you. One, it shows you that, there's things in there that unless you've been in a band and you've sat in a room with 4 other musicians and tried to hash things out and tried to, this is how we should write a song. There's just some funny things in there that I think a lot of people missed. It's like, even the Beatles. Even the fucking Beatles dealt with this. You know what I mean? Even the Beatles had that. There was multiple times I'm just like, I've experienced that. And it's just funny. It's like, you think of these god bands and you think, they just sit in a room and just piss excellence. You know what I mean? And just like, and it's like, no, there's a lot of, you're just not in the mood. You know what I mean? And you know, like Santana talks about, I love Santana's talk about how do you write a song? And he's like, you don't write a song. He's like, you find the song. The song already exists. You just happen to have an antenna that grabbed the song and pulled it down. And like when he writes the Get Back, that's a perfect example of how how the best songs ever come to be, is just this happenstance of just and usually it's not, you can never sit in a room with 4 people and just write a good song. One person just has to be Jojo da da da, and just like That's it. That's fucking money right there. That's a good.
Well, and I
deal.
wanted to ask you about that specifically because I think that it would be a debate. From what I saw in that scene, I think is a debate of what I was actually looking at. So you've watched the first half. Let me tell you, the second half is better. If you finish it, it gets better the second half is better in my opinion. So you're like, you got the best is yet to come for if you're gonna keep watching it. But
I will. I've told every musician I know. I've been like, you have to watch this. It's incredible.
Well, I think the second half is better. Did you see Billy Preston yet?
No, I don't know. I don't know who that
dude,
is.
fuck. God damn it. Okay, well, in the second part, like, they bring in Billy Preston, who's a keyboard player, and I think saves the whole project, saves the whole fucking thing. And they even have a conversation in the second part where John's like, we should put him in the band. Like, legitimate conversation if we should add him to the band. And in my opinion, saved the whole project. As somebody, I didn't even know who he was. And he's playing on the rooftop there with them in the end. And I think he saves the whole thing. But, in that scene in the first part where it's like John Lennon's late to the studio, so Ringo and George are sitting there staring at Paul, and Paul's like trying to come up with another song. He's like, we need more songs for this album. So he's just kind of playing and like, dun 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 dun, dun get back, and he's like, and to me it looks really he's forcing it out of him. Like it looks like he's forcing to be like, we need another song, and he's like, get back, and he's like, it seems really forced. Like he's like pulling it up, like pulling it out of the ground, like forcing the song out of himself. But I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that like a genius can do that and just force a song out of nowhere. Like right here, right now, we need a song. Let's fucking force it out. But I think people would say like, no, it's just like coming to him like easily. But to me, it looked forced. But I'm not saying that as a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. That part.
That's what I was
that
seeing.
2-minute section of that was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And to
it
me,
was incredible.
I'm not trying to sound like I'm a good musician. Like that's not at all what I'm saying. But I understand when good things have happened with me, where good moments have came about, or about some, like the best songs. There's one song I have that I consider the best song I've ever written, and I wrote it in about 2 minutes flat, and it was
Monday.
The best. And
that song?
No, not at all.
Oh.
That was like a plug and play song. That was like it's this. I don't know if I actually don't even really have it recorded. But it's hands down the best chord progressions I've came up with. It's the most unique guitar-wise and the most unique vocal-wise. It has a really good bridge and a really good chorus. It's my proudest achievement I've ever done as a song. I wrote it instantaneously. Out of nowhere, it just came to me. But there's something that happens in music, and I think you can really, if you notice what's happening at the beginning of that documentary, is music is the reason the reason I play music, and I think most musicians play music, is there's this feeling of that no drug can ever like. I think that's why a lot of musicians have drug problems, is because music can do something to you to where you can get so high and you exit reality for a few minutes and you just play. And when you're in a writing space, there's like, usually if you sit down with a band, you'll all be really happy and really into it for about 45 minutes. And then after about 45 minutes, shit just starts going downhill because you just lose the ambition. And a lot of times, sometimes like if you meet up, let's say 4 days in a row as a band to like play together and try to write something or get somewhere, only out of, let's say you do hour, only about maybe twice in there on definitely 2 different days at random times is just the energy going to connect right, and everyone has fun, and you get done with the song and everyone's jacked, and you're just like, dude, that was fucking awesome, and everyone's just in the right headspace and everything comes together right. A lot of music you force yourself through, and it's not fun. And I think that's why a lot of people do drugs with music, is because you just add some drugs into it, and you can get back to that moment in time where beauty happened. And Santana talking about like the antenna that you'll just pick up. That's the same concept. Is you can't force it. You can't make it happen. Like there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's no just plug these things in and that's a hit song. There is no way to do that. It just comes out of thin air, and it usually comes out of you feeling you're motivated. It's just you want to play the instrument. And when I watched him do the Get Back thing, that's what I saw. I saw him. It's not a forced thing. It was him being in a really good headspace and having fun, and he's creating. And so when he's doing that do, you could just tell he enjoyed that noise, and he's like, I like this noise. I like this noise, and what can I do vocally? And it was so cool the way he writes, and I love that. Was it was and he just mumbles shit, and he's like, ba 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 da 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 da, get back, and he's like, oh, that's it, get back, get back to where you, and it's like, that's it, that's beautiful, and you just watched it firsthand. What you're never gonna get that. The amount of times you're ever gonna see something of that magnitude flow through the air and come down in one of the most gifted people on the planet. That's it. It's one of the only videotape times that's ever going to happen. It was beautiful. I like, not really, but I mean, that made me emotional to watch. It was like, that's beautiful. That's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And I guarantee you 50% of the population, they're just not going to understand that. It's just not, they've never related to that. It would be like watching a fucking NASCAR driver go by at 200 miles an hour. Unless you've done it, you couldn't even like wrap your head around like the feeling. You know what I'm saying? That's a weird comparison, but you know what I mean? Unless you, and I'm not saying you can't or you couldn't if you're not a writer, but, I'm just saying like that hit home. And I think anybody that's tried to write a song or has ever actually felt that feeling of things just coming out of thin air, and you're like, how did that even happen? It's just, where did that even come from? And the emotion that came with it, the happiness that came with it, the drug, the endorphins that just boom explode. And dude, that when I like the one song I'm referencing in my head that I wrote, dude, it was the highest I've ever been. I mean, it was very high, very high. Just serotonin was just pumping. I was like, oh, this is cool.
That's crazy. Yeah, it was extraordinary. And I just thought it seemed like he was forcing it out of himself.
I'm confused by what you mean by that. Like it was a struggle to get it out, or that it was so profound that he was just pushing it out of him. I'm not wrapping.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's difficult because it's like you told Paul, sit down and do this right now, and he was like, I can do it. Dun dun dun, and it wasn't like some random. Like he couldn't control it. He was sitting there and saying, I'm going to control it. I'm going to do this right now and fucking force it to happen. But I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's a genius, brilliant, extraordinary thing to be able to do. I don't know. I don't know.
And
I have to think about
so this
more.
Is another thing.
It was amazing.
I think about sometimes kind of the same idea, but I think about this a lot to where the reason bands get worse over time, like their albums, like their good albums usually are in their early 20s, and because I think life kind of beats you down as you get older and you get more into like wanting to be in a routine, and when you're in your early 20s you can separate yourself from life and just really be in the moment, you know what I mean? And I really think that's why those moments to where you can write the song, you're free, you're happy, you're living, and you could just say, well, that's like, it's like the first time you fall in love. You know what I mean? How profound that feeling is. You know what I mean? Yeah. And how the emotions attached to that are so profound. And honestly, as time goes on, you'll never really feel that way again. That those emotions will never be as strong as they were when you were 18, 19, 20. The hormones almost need to be there to write really good music. I mean, look at Paul McCartney, still alive. And how long has it been since he's written a good song? He's totally capable of it, but he's just, life beats you down. Like And I notice it about my music I don't get into it as much. I don't love it the way I used to love it. I used to love it. I remember working construction 18, 19, and I would literally sit there all day and think about like, I'd hum things to myself and just get so excited. I would run home at lunch. I remember months of my life, we were close enough. I would run home at lunch and just play guitar, skip lunch. Like, just because I was so excited about the learning and the wanting to create. I don't do that anymore. Now I feel forced to do it, and I get mad at myself when weeks will go by and I don't touch the guitar, and I'm like, you're such a piece of shit. Like, go do this. And then I sit down, and now I'm to where it used to be every day I could do that. Now I don't get that feeling of the endorphin rush. Today I did it, and it was the first time in probably 3 weeks that I was able to sit down, put at least over 10 minutes into something and have fun doing it and work on my voice. And I didn't create anything, but I was able to practice and have fun practicing. Sometimes you pick up the guitar and it's just not even fun. You do it for 10 seconds and you're like, I don't even want to do this. This isn't even.
Yeah, I hear you're still playing video games.
I played
so much for that.
One day.
Uh-huh.
My video game time is way down. I hate that goddamn game they're playing.
I haven't played video games in a long time because I'm just trying to find joy in something, and I can't find it in video games right now.
Fuck you, Fox. You son of a bitch.
Because I feel broken.
Are you in love with
But
me?
yeah. No, Jesus God. Please stop talking about love. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts about the latter half of the documentary.
We can't get off the Beatles thing real quick. I forgot totally about the whole story. So I'm watching this with Cheyenne. Mind you, she's 10 years younger than me. She's 22 years old. So a lot of things she doesn't understand. We're from two different generations. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many.
You don't understand it either.
No.
Just
maybe
hold
on. There's a lot of things that I'll make a reference to, and it just goes straight over her head. And she's like,
"Yeah,
what are you talking about?" And I'm like,
she's like, "Who, the Backstreet Boys?"
Yeah, or just all the time. It happens at least once a week to where I'll say something, and she didn't experience that. You know, she didn't experience the 90s like I did. Or, the early 2000s,
Yeah.
So they kept on doing this thing, and I'm sure you noticed it. But at the beginning of the movie or the documentary, there's like a running joke going on between them about Eric Clapton, and they're like, well, there's like George Harris. They're kind of all on. They bring it up like 3 times, and they're like, well, maybe we should get Clapton to play it. You know what I mean? And it's like, obviously what's going on in this time is Clapton is becoming very famous when they're making this documentary, and he's fucking Clapton. He played with Ginger Baker. He is a god. And especially at that time, I guarantee you, I mean, even though it's a joke to them, I guarantee they highly respected Eric Clapton. Like, he's a god. He's arguably one of the best guitar players of all time. And then when in the documentary, when there's the little tiff with Harrison and he walks out, we're saying 2 hours into the documentary, 2.5 hours in or something like that. They all come back from lunch. And so it's Ringo Starr, John Lennon, Paul McCartney. And they're like, well, what are we doing here? And one of them's like, why don't we just get Eric Clapton to come play? And it's like a joke. And they're just like, blah, blah, blah. And I like audibly laugh when it happens. I'm like, I'm like, that's funny. And I turn to Cheyenne, and she's just stone-faced. Like, and I'm like, do you understand? I'm like, do you understand the joke that's being made right now? And she's like, they made a joke? And I'm like, do you know who Eric Clapton is?
Yeah.
She's like, no. Hold the fucking phone. We paused the documentary. I'm like, you don't know who fucking Eric Clapton is? She's like, never heard of him. I'm like, I just start going through the songs. Cocaine, don't know. She's like, never heard it. I'm like, Layla, don't, Layla. She's like, never heard that. I'm like, in a white room with black curtain. Just going through them. She's like, never heard any of these songs. I am like getting mad. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? You've never heard Eric. Stop your shaking face, okay? Stop it. Let me be angry for a minute. Stop it.
Okay.
I pull my phone out and I Google, who is the greatest guitar player of all time? First website. Boom. Hit it. Eric Clapton doesn't come up, but he's number 2. He does top 10 guitar players of all time. Puts Jimi Hendrix number 1. Is this generic guitar thing? Jimi Hendrix number 2. Scroll to number 2. I'm like, number 2 greatest guitar player of all time. And this isn't like a Eric Johnson, Joe Satriani type person who really has never wrote a hit song in his life. You know what I mean? They're just really good guitar players. This is Eric Clapton. He's written shitloads of number 1 songs, and he's incredibly good at guitar.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, never. Then we get on. Then I'm on Pandora, just playing every fucking song. Just never heard this. She's like, nope, never heard that. It wasn't until, and what was actually funny is I was like, man, Eric Clapton hasn't written as many good songs as I thought he has. And then I realized it's because if you type in Eric Clapton, that's not where all of his hits lie. All of his hits lie in other bands. You know what I mean? Eric Clapton was after everything had died. It was Cream is where all those songs came from, you know. And then he was also in the Yardbirds, Hollies?
Yeah.
The Yardbirds?
The Yardbirds.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. That blew my mind. That doesn't blow your mind, someone that doesn't know who fucking Eric fucking Clapton. The greatest.
It blows my mind, but like people don't know stuff. And people are like, you haven't seen The Godfather? Dude, fucking get out of my car.
But they know what
fuck out
The
of my
Godfather is. Like, everyone knows what The Godfather is. Everyone knows who Eric Clapton is. Like, that's
in my world, they do.
How did you miss that? How have you missed that reference?
Yeah.
In everything. In every fucking It blew my mind.
That's true. Well.
And then how have you just never heard, like, you look wonderful tonight? It's been on the radio forever. It's always been. Cocaine? Who hasn't heard Cocaine? Even if you only listen to rap, you've heard Cocaine. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not talking about some obscure 60s band that, you know, that is just maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. Like, I fooled around and fell in love. It's like, no, this is Cocaine. Like, fuck. It's been in... that song has probably been in 40 movies. You know what I mean? Like, easy.
Yeah. Da-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an incredible documentary. I thought I became like really magnetized and like hyper focused about every little thing in it at a point, and I was just like, and I think it's genius. I think it was just so genius that maybe not even how it was put together, but just the fact that it was filmed. And I wish like more bands did it that way. It's like not that hard. Just put the camera there and just film them. And I think I would make the argument that you learned way more about this band than you did in the documentary style of...
everything I've ever known about the Beatles, just throw that out the window. Because
because anybody can make the documentary of, oh, this weird fight happened on a plane while they were headed to this concert, and like sort of doing a timeline of things and like footage. It's like I don't even think you learn about them that way. I think the way to learn about them is 6 hours of the people just hanging out, and then you're like you really learn about
because
everybody in it.
I always had this idea that like Lennon, and you just hear it, Lennon, McCartney. Watching that group, you realize how much more of like alpha male is not the right word, but how much like more
leader? Like leader,
leader. Paul McCartney, he was like neurotic. You know what I mean? He had visions, and he's like, you guys are coming with me. You're going to do my vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think this documentary kind of focused more on him.
Yeah, but it really goes to show that he is kind of the brains behind the operation. Like,
I don't know.
Dude, yeah, he is. I'm not taking anything away from Lennon or Harrison, but you can see there's one person who's bullheaded and driven, and that's... You know, this is, you know, I'm the writer.
Yeah.
I'm writing songs. And not saying
And
they
I also
didn't write songs, but he
yeah.
was
I also
motivated
think
to write songs.
at that time, I think one of those two people maybe already had a foot out the door. You know what I mean? Because we're talking way into their career. You know what I mean? Maybe early on, maybe it was different, but I think at that time, John was maybe like, I'm kind of ready to be over this. I'm kind of ready to leave, and you know, I don't know, maybe. But I don't think I think that even if like John wasn't as like vocal about stuff, I think he was. I think Paul really needs him there.
Oh,
I'm
not saying you're
lifelong best friends.
You're taking
you know what I mean?
it wrong. I'm not saying like he isn't literally 50% of the band, like 50% of the driving force of the
That's
band.
because I'm ready to defend it. If you really
saying,
go off the edge.
saying Paul McCartney's more like alpha male. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fucking.
Well, and it seems like those four personalities. Here's the thing, and in the third one, I'm sure. I mean, I'll just say, like it seemed like the Beatles, little bit of like performance anxiety, a little bit of kind of like a stage frighty. They're all kind of like very reserved almost. Like they're not like a Mick Jagger or like Freddie Mercury where they're like want to just take the stage and like prowl the stage and fucking be like, this is my show, I want all the eyes on me. They're all kind of just like, they're not, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I think Paul McCartney was kind of different in that way too. I think he liked being the hot Beatle, the fucking cool,
they all
cool
seem
guy.
A little shy. They all seem a little shy for me.
And like
in my opinion.
And after watching that documentary, certain things started. I noticed certain things. Like for instance, if you look at the cover of Abbey Road, doesn't it kind of, I don't know, the fact that he has his shoes off, it kind of like, to me, I was like, it made sense. That made sense after that. Like that.
John has his shoes off?
Paul McCartney has his shoes off. And when they're walking across the road. And then you could almost see this kind of like smile in his face. Like he knew he was cool. You know what I mean? He knew he was fucking cool. He's like, I'm fucking Paul McCartney. He dressed better than everybody else. He was had more swagger, you know, like his girlfriend was gorgeous. Fucking.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know.
And I've always liked Paul McCartney more. I thought I'm not saying John Lennon is not incredible. I'm just saying Paul McCartney he's one of the best. He's one of the best in the world. He's fucking. And to me, after everything was said and done, he still did better than everybody. He proved it that he was better. Like, obviously, none of their careers even came close to what the Beatles is. But they were all
successful solo.
Well, of course, they're the Beatles. But
Paul
McCartney did better than all of them. And I guess you didn't give John very much time to, John kind of got, offed. But it's the same thing with like the Eagles. The Eagles were all super. It was a super group of musicians, and they all break up.
Yeah.
And to me, like in that group, Don Henley proved to everyone else, I'm the best here. He came out with more hits when it all crumbled. He's fucking Dirty Laundry comes out. All these songs where Glenn Frey still had some hit songs, but Don Henley did better. And I'd say that same thing about the Beatles. Fucking Paul McCartney did better. He's the best songwriter out of the group. He knows how, and most of the hit songs come from Paul McCartney. Even though John Lennon is right there, and obviously he's accredited with writing all the songs. I don't know. Obviously we don't have footage of every minute they were ever together, but if I was betting, I would bet you 80% of the Beatles songs came from Paul in that way, to where the original idea came from him. And he's just like, he wrote the hook. You know what I mean? He's like,
maybe.
And then they all, because where did I heard something about that, kind of like backing up what I'm saying. I can't remember, it obviously wasn't in the documentary, but it was something I was reading where I feel like they said John Lennon at one time said in an interview that he was irritated with Paul because every time Paul would write a song, it all had to be about him and writing that song. And anytime you came to Paul with a song, he would kind of like shrug it off, like, oh, it was okay. You know what I mean? Like, and And then obviously Harrison really felt that way. You know what I mean? Like, like I can write a fucking song too, you sons of bitches.
It seemed like Paul loved John's songs though. Like, isn't Across the Universe like 100% John's song?
Yeah, and I'm not saying he can't write a good song, but he was way more egotistical and focused on, these are my songs, we're writing my songs. And of course you're going to love, if John Lennon is singing backup vocals with you and sharing vocals with you, you're going to be like, you're fucking awesome. Like, you wrote the song. You know, you're going to give him co-credit because it's fucking John Lennon. He's an amazing singer.
Yeah, and on the rooftop concert or whatever, him singing the Don't Let Me Down. Don't let me down. That's such a good song. And John basically does it by himself pretty much, and you're just like, it's just like complete rock star material. It's like watching a unicorn. So it's like, oh yeah, this is a 50-50 thing. Like, he's pulling his weight when he does Don't Let Me Down or whatever.
Yeah. No, he's a god. He is a god. You know, I'm not lying. He's not a god.
Thank you. Yeah, he's a god. And I saw a lot online too before I watched this of just Yoko talk. And I thought whenever she was in the camera of this documentary, I thought it was just incredibly fascinating. I thought it was just so fascinating. And because people are just like, you know, there's people online to this day like defending her from other people online. And in the beginning of that documentary, like the first part, I started to get really annoyed with her presence in the band practice. And I was like, here's the thing. It's not her who she is. It's just if you're sitting around, if there's 4 band members sitting around, but then next to one of them is just their girlfriend sitting side by side with them, even if she doesn't do anything, I feel I start to get tense about the situation because I'm just like, it's so weird. And you even hear Paul say in the first part of the second part where he's like, they're in love. Like, what am I going to say? Like, it's not my place to say anything about that. But it's like just someone's presence sitting there. Like, if it was me and 3 buddies, but then their chick is sitting there right with them, I would start to get annoyed. And it's nothing against who she is. If he was gay and it was his boyfriend or it was just his buddy sitting there, that's the same feeling. So it's not like she's being annoying. It's just that the presence of the other human there that's not in the band, that's not contributing, starts to make me tense and annoyed. But then as the things go on, it just made me super fascinated. And I was just like, my eyes were just like locking onto her whenever she was there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I had the same thing. I've never...
She's fascinating.
And I'm sure I was just raised to not like her, so it doesn't even matter now. It's like in my subconscious that I see her or hear her name, I'm like, I just don't like her. But if you want to see some gold, after this episode's done, YouTube.
Yeah.
Look up Chuck Berry and John Lennon, 1972. They did
I've seen it.
Oh, have you seen that? When she does that. Like, she's fucking batshit crazy. And
she does it in this documentary. It's fucking really, it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. And that's the time that I laughed the hardest in this documentary, when she was doing that into a microphone and Paul was like playing the guitar and so was John and she was just screaming into a microphone and it just made me laugh hysterically. I'm like, I think it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, she's god awful.
I don't think there's anything wrong with her. I think it's just the presence of the other person that starts to annoy people.
You know what doesn't make sense to me is I think she's very unattractive. And it just doesn't make sense.
They're in love.
I get it. And I get some things that happen, you know, blah, blah, blah. But maybe I'm just a real fucking asshole. But I just feel like if you're John Lennon, you get any woman you want. You literally have the pick of any woman you could ever want. And just the fact that that's who we landed on is so weird to me. It's fascinating. Like the girl that Paul McCartney's with, that makes sense. It's like, she's fucking gorgeous. Like, yeah that makes sense.
Yeah. I think she's fascinating. I think it's they're in love, dude. It's the souls. It's the he's in love with
so
her
the girl
soul.
that I can't remember her name now, but I did some Wikipedia digging after we got done watching that or whatever, and the girl there married Paul McCartney. They were married. I think they had kids too, and but then they got divorced, and Paul McCartney's had 2 other wives since.
Yeah,
and. What was funny is she never changed her name. She's still McCartney after 30 years. And me and the girl were talking about it, and she's like, yeah, I'd keep the name too. Like, fucking, I was like, yeah, I'd keep the name too.
Is it like Linda?
Yeah, it sounds
Heather
right.
Or something?
I think Linda sounds right. Linda McCartney.
I'm also pretty positive she only has 1 leg.
Okay.
Google that. She has a fake leg.
Real talk.
So.
Well, she was gorgeous when she was fucking 20 years old. Yeah. Drop dead gorgeous.
But would you go to John Lennon and be like, why are you with her?
No, you wouldn't say shit, but it's still just like
you can't say
odd.
Shit.
You know what I mean? Like look at
look
at like Marilyn Manson. Look at his fucking list of girls he's been with. Like, Jesus Christ. It is just solid 11s for days. Supermodels, actresses, like, oh my God. And he's an ugly motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't Marilyn Manson, he's dating some 250-pound chick, with like a weird tramp stamp on her back. But now he's Marilyn Manson. He can pick through. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's been with some bangers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought she was fascinating. The whole thing was. Bravo, Peter Jackson. I wish more bands did it that way. And it's dumb that it's Disney. Makes me angry. Because Disney's stupid.
Well, I only had 3 things on my list, so we talked about the Beatles for a good hour. So
sorry about that.
You talked about one of my. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's definitely someone listening to this that either turned it off, half an hour ago, or is just like, will you guys shut the fuck up about the Beatles? I'm sorry. I feel very strongly about the Beatles. I love them more than anything.
I want to hear what you think after you finish it.
Yeah, I'll finish it.
So you're flying next weekend?
Yep, I'm flying, so we won't be doing an episode. I'm going back to the homestead, and
Oh, boy.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm not very excited about Denver International. Never been there, and I hear horror stories. And if you just Google map it and look at how the roads go in, it looks pretty insane. It looks pretty insane because the roads just start splitting, and it's like western arrivals, western departure, eastern arrivals, and you go to totally fucking different things. It's like, what the fuck,
Well, maybe just Uber.
Yeah. But.
Oh yeah, in California, because it's like in Uber, it doesn't matter what state you're in. The Uber, or actually I think it was a Lyft, Uber or Lyft. The rule is you have to wear a mask. And I was in an Uber with me and 2 other people. One of them wasn't wearing a mask. Nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, that shit don't fly in Portland, that's for sure.
Yeah, so California is like, and I
they're like basically Republican.
Yeah, it's like not as bad as the news. Like, I get that there's legitimacy to the news making it seem really bad. I don't think it's that bad as the news. And I even told people there, I'm like, so soon you guys won't be able to have gas-powered lawnmowers because that was a thing. Like, California's going to ban gas-powered lawnmowers. And they're like, that's all bullshit, dude. They're like, that's the news. It's not going to happen. Like, they're like, you guys probably see a lot of news come out of here that makes us look crazy. They're like, it's just bullshit. It's not going to happen. It's like, oh. Huh.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, maybe they'll repeal the law, but I mean, it's in effect. It's the same thing going on in Seattle as you can't build a house right now. In King County, you can't build a house with gas hookups in it. They don't want it anymore. Everything's got to be electric. So all water heaters you can't install fucking gas water heaters, or the date's about to hit or something like that. It's pretty sure it's already in effect. You can't do it. And it's just those things. It's those just bullshit fucking Democrat laws. They just love to fucking pass laws.
Yeah.
We'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, episode 76, maybe in 2022 we can wrap up the 70s.
Get to 80.
Maybe. It might be 2023 by the time we get to 80.
Oh, God. Since when I edited the last one, what a pain in the ass. Holy fucking shit.
Sucks, huh?
I'm not... Yeah, it sucks. It does suck.
Yeah.
It's going to be like 0 degrees here next week.
Whatever. At least you can sit in a truck.
Stupid.
Well, we love you guys. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, episode 76. Until, whenever the next one is. Could be a few years from now. We'll catch you on the flip side. Later.